So, this month in the Elevated Life Club, the topic is all about time management, and we thought it would be really cool to share some of our tips on how to stay focused when we live in a distraction filled world. Hey, we're Britt and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 13 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation, we found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be.
If you've been out in public anytime lately at all, if you've driven a car, if you've been in a restaurant, you have noticed that almost every single person is staring into their phone. And, that would be okay if we were always doing things that were productive, or at least most of the time we were doing things that are productive or helping us, but it's taking time away from the people that we're with. It's taking a lot of time away from what we really want to be doing in life. And so today's topic is so important because what we want to do here is get you back on track. We have a few very powerful tips that help so much. And the first one of them is how to deal with social media. And that is the second that you find yourself on, set a timer. All of our phones now come equipped with timers on them. Set a timer so that you have a specific amount that you pre-agree to say, when this timer goes off, I'm not going to do this anymore. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can do, set it. That way you don't turn a few minutes of distraction into 20 or 30 minutes, and then now you've forgotten what you were doing all along. Now you're distracted enough so that you don't remember what your task is really supposed to be, and it's pulled you away from what you're already doing in the day.
The other thing that helps me when it comes to social media and distraction is when I'm working, whether it's in the salon or on a computer at home, is I turn my ringer off and I turn my phone over so that no notifications can pop up, no text messages, because it's somehow this natural ingrained habit that if something pops up on your phone, you immediately break your focus and look over to see ooh, who's messaged me? What is it? New dopamine. I want more. And so for me, I just turn my phone over on the desk. And that helps for if I need to pick it up and use it, then I do it out of conscious intention, not because it's just distracted me from what I was doing.
On top of that, take your Apple Watch off of your wrist.
Throw it out the window.
The amount of conversations and I'm talking about deep conversation. We hit the deeper layers. We're not just on what's the weather like and that kind of conversation. You start talking about open the heart up stuff, very connected things. And that person's watch thing goes off, they're out of the conversation. They're out of the conversation immediately thinking about something different. And so that pulls us away from each other in the connection that we were sharing in that moment. And so if you're one of those people that's always attached to something, if you're always attached to your phone or always attached to your watch or whatever it is, take a break from it. It'll be okay. All those notifications will be there. And you don't have to do it for forever, but take a break. Take an hour-long break. Take a 90-minute break. Just set it away. Set it aside.
Unhandcuff yourself.
It's very liberating. One of the things that we do is multiple times per year, we go out to places that have really bad Wi-Fi. It's like 2G or something like that, super spotty. You can pull up maybe a song every hour kind of stuff. And if any of you remember dial-up, man, it's dial-up experiences where we go. But the phone doesn't work that well. We don't get really good service. We're away from everything, away from city lights, away from the electricity, away from the notifications, away from just those stressors in life that we don't realize we have.
Radiation poisoning.
Because this is something that's new. If we weren't getting notifications all the time, you're able to leave places. I remember when I had to stop and call people by a payphone.
A payphone, yes.
Yeah, a payphone. You'd have to carry quarters in the car just in case you had to stop. Because I've stopped a few times and be like, I don't have any quarters. What am I going to do? And so you had to plan your life that way. And there were going to be times where no one could get a hold of you. And for a long time, if you went on a vacay out to the country, like we used to do in the summer, no one's getting a hold of you. If they can call long distance, no one's calling long distance. They might write a letter. And so to be able to get back to that, and there's a big concept going around right now that I think it's going to catch a lot more fire than it already is. And that is the idea of rewilding. And that is sort of like being naked again, going out in nature, like just getting away from all of the stressors of modern life, away from just being in a city all the time, and how powerful that is for us to put our feet in the dirt, to get out there and ground a little bit, to do a little bit of earthing, and ditching the technology for a while, even if you come back to it, which is fine. A lot of the modern conveniences are fantastic. We use a lot of them. But ditching it for a little bit, even if it's for a little bit of time per day, and then for a longer time, maybe once a week, maybe on Sunday you ditch it, or maybe for a whole weekend, once a month you ditch it, and even extending that further, maybe once a quarter or once every 6 months you ditch the thing for a whole week. You go on a vacay and say, I'm just taking a vacation from the phone and notifications and email and all that crap. Because your life will be back. We'll all be dying with our inboxes full, and they'll continue to fill up. And so it's really important for you to be able to take a mental break, because that's one of the secrets to staying focused, is that if you're not training your brain, you're going to be wired for distraction. If you're not training your brain to focus, you're wired for distraction. You get to pick which one it's going to be. And those little phones and everything are the biggest culprits. That's what we really have to tune into. It's not our thoughts, it's the phones.
And then it's our thoughts.
Bingo.
So the next thing that you can do to stay focused is to do what's most important first. Brian Tracy calls it eating that frog, and getting clear on what are the top 3 priorities you need to do today, and do those first. When you schedule your priorities first, everything else feels like a piece of cake or a bonus, or like, oh, I already did all those things that if it didn't get done today, like then, I'm on the line for it. It just feels so much better when you prioritize what's important, you get it out of the way, and then it's like you have this whole rest of the day to explore, to get to other tasks that maybe you were distracting yourself, like if I do all these little things, then I won't have to do that one big thing. But what's interesting is if you do that one big thing, you end up doing all the little things because you have this big sense of pride and momentum and like, I'm freaking crushing it, and you just knock out everything else on the list too.
At the beginning of each workday that we have, Britt and I have like a 5-minute, it's before the workday, about a 5-minute conversation. And the question I always ask is,
what are we doing today?
What do we need to get done today?
How are we going to take over the world today, Pinky?
That's exactly it. So that's the question. What do we need to get done today? What is due today? What is that most important thing? It starts every single one of our work days off, because I don't want to work on tasks that are low value if I don't have to. Now, I'll do some lower value tasks later on in the day, especially repetitive tasks. I like to put those at the end of the day. Things that are going to be more monotonous, more doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe it's replying to emails. Maybe it's answering some questions, similar things like that. But at the beginning of the day, when I'm the most fresh, when I have the most energy, when I am just the most vibrant, I want to do that important thing. And sometimes the important thing is not sexy. Sometimes you got to make a phone call or let somebody down or do something that you don't necessarily want to do. And that's why you absolutely have to do it first. And this is a training mechanism. The good thing about focus and the good thing about beating distraction is both of these are things that you can train yourself for. And all the training is going to happen always in your routine. It's a big theme this year, is we are training through our routine. And so if your routine is to wake up or to get to work and do the most important thing first, think about how much further along you'll be, because you didn't just waste time on low value tasks. It's not that they didn't need to get done. It's just they don't matter as much. There are certain things that matter. I remember one time, for a long time, I didn't get Britt any Valentine's Day stuff.
Rude.
I didn't get anything. And then I realized that she wanted Valentine's Day stuff. So I started getting her some things.
Duh.
And so, you get the typical, the flowers, the card, maybe a little candy, chocolate, maybe a little jewelry, something like that. And one year I remember I didn't get the card. I walked by, I didn't see anything I really loved, and I was like, I'm not getting the card. So I show up, I get the flowers, maybe a little something. I'm standing there, I give it to Britt, and I'm excited. I'm like, what's up? I gave you a gift. What's up? I'm excited this year. Look what I did. And she looked at me right in the face. Flowers were beautiful. I'm talking about like knock you dead kind of flowers. Like flowers. Not just like I picked some out of the weeds while I was walking up and you can blow off this dandelion. It's not that. It was the whole shebang flowers, right? Booyah! I'm expecting. Like this is like, woo! And she looks at it and she goes, where's the card? And so it was in that moment that I realized I created a big error. Is that I did not grab the most important thing first. The most important thing was the card. And then come the flowers, and then comes the gift. If you just get the gift, not enough. Where's the flowers and the card? So you have to know what the most important thing is and always be giving that first. Everything else is an add-on. The other things aren't as important. Everyone's got a different scoring system too, so this may not be the way it works for you.
This reminds me of the 1 point.
It's true though. So being able to be aware of what the most important thing is extremely difficult sometimes. But you got to ask questions. You have to figure out, you got to sit down and use that brain of yours to say, what is that one thing? Or what are those top 2 or top 3 things? And put your energy on making sure that you always deliver those over and over again. I'll tell you the craziest thing when I get a new coaching client is I always ask him some of the same questions. I ask him, how do you eat, how do you sleep, and how much sex are you having? And you'd be amazed at how much people don't prioritize those 3 things in their life.
Eat, sleep, and sex. You just heard it.
Add a little water in there. You really just nailed it. You'd be surprised what just those
There's
3
your $10,000 coaching package.
It is absolutely true. You have to if you get the basics wrong, the advanced stuff won't matter. You're going to be too drained. You're not going to be feeling how you're supposed to feel. And so if you're not filling yourself with the vital nutrients, if you're not getting the right amount of hours a night, if you're not doing all these things, then like, who cares? So make sure that you're putting the important things first, and make sure that you know what the important things are. Not just with yourself. You got to sit down and ask yourself about these questions. You got to ask your partner too. Well, what about if this is important to you? I found out it's the card. The card is number 1. I don't show up without the card first. If I add the flowers on, that's nice, but you have to have the card.
It's a card.
Make sure you know what the important things are.
And the third tip for beating distraction is taking a break every hour. We follow something called the Pomodoro timer, where every 50 minutes. I do 50, bro.
This is the updated Pomodoro timer
This is
method?
the Brittany Carmichael Pomodoro method. So, okay, technically it's every 25 minutes, but I find that when I get into that creative flow, I'm not trying to break it every 25 minutes. Now, if you don't have those long streams of creative, like, flowing consciousness, then, hey, break every 25 minutes. For 5 minutes, you'll take a break and then repeat again, so that you've taken basically a 10-minute break split up over the hour. For me, I just like to keep it simple. I like 50 minutes on and 10 minutes off. During that 10 minutes, I stretch. I make sure I refill my water. I walk around. I check in with Chris and see how he's doing for the day and what he's working on, or ask him any questions that have come up during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like a lot of questions. But I get up and walk away. That way my legs don't go numb from sitting at a computer. My eyes don't go crazy and my brain doesn't melt into mush. Make sure that you're taking a break, because you'll be so much more productive when you come back.
This is one of those little bitty things you can add into, again, routine changes. This is just another routine change. And so set a timer. I run my life on timers. That's something we're going to be talking about a lot this month in our club, is how the way that I set up my life is a little bit unorthodox, and it works. And anyone who's been around me for long enough is like, dude, I need to start doing that. I like that. I don't have to remember as much. I don't have to be on top of it as much. And that's what my time management is. It's just little changes in the routine, because of what a lot of people do in their life is they focus on their goals and they don't get them because they forgot to focus on their systems. I am a systems guy. I run everything in my life, for the most part, off of a system. And so I don't really focus on goals, because that's not how you achieve goals. You achieve goals through systems. Those systems will automatically allow you to achieve whatever it is that you want to. You just have to have the right system. You got to have the right actions in the right order that work the right way for you.
So a system for 50 minutes and spontaneity for 10.
And
that way you don't turn into a cyborg.
That's during work days. That doesn't mean we don't play hard too. That's work hard. The play hard part, you let those wings out. I mean, run for the hills kind of stuff. Like you want to be able to play just as much as you work hard. And that's why we have to set up the work day like this. Is because if you're distracted all the time, you don't get to play.
Then you have to work on the days where you should have been
playing. And nobody wants to do that. I don't want to do that.
Well, it's also why we're recording this podcast today, because we prioritized our play this weekend.
It's absolutely true. Make sure that you are prioritizing play. The important thing about taking these 50-minute breaks is that you get restless. We're not meant to sit in a chair all day long, even though that's what many of us do. We're not meant to be just still all the time. That's during meditation, or at least sitting meditation. You need to be active. Your body craves movement, moving around. That's what all these limbs and everything are designed for, is so that you can move your booty. And so every 50 minutes, you got to give yourself a mental break. If you had classes, you remember back in the day, a lot of them were on around 50-minute, 45-minute schedules, so that you took a break Then you walked to the next class. Guess what that is? That's that natural movement that you need in your body. Your brain just won't come up with good ideas anymore. And the reason why is because you're not getting enough oxygen and blood flow to it. And it's because you're sitting and you're taking shallow breaths all the time. Those are the two things that are going to work against you during your workday. Some of the biggest ones once you've gotten rid of your phone. So now if you're staying hydrated, you're getting to eat, the sleep, in the sex like I was talking about, now your next big distraction is going to be how much blood you have in your body that's moving around, feeling good, not stagnant and stale, and how you are breathing. That's the next big thing that I have to conquer. And if you can get on top of these few things, you'd be surprised that you could double your productivity. And so what I like to do, this is the real secret that I like, is I like to double my productivity and then work half the time. I don't double my productivity and work the same amount of time. I double the productivity and I work half the time. Now I can play more. But it's only because the setup is correct. It's only because the systems are correct. So that's why we're saying, if you want to learn more about these systems, come join us in the club. I want to teach you all this stuff. We just don't even have enough time here. I want to teach you all the things that we have.
We don't have enough time to teach you about time management.
It's very true. Like this is something that you have to prioritize in your life. This is one of those things that's one of the most important things. This is the card. Time management is the card. Because if you're not on top of your time management, guess what happens? You're not doing anything with your life. How things you enjoy, and what ends up even worse is you end up frustrated. Because you're doing less of the important tasks. You're still staying busy. You're still doing a bunch of things, but none of them really matter. In the sense that they won't bring into your life what you're wanting. What you know that you deserve. And so getting on top of this as early and as quickly as possible is massively important, especially for your work days. Like I said, on the play days, play. I mean, you get it. But on the work days, they need to be structured. That's why you're always finding a balance here. It's always a balance between the logical mind, the rigid, organized mind, and then the playful, spirited, free mind. We're just letting yourself run free. And so being able to switch between the two and have a plan for switching between the two and knowing how to do it and do it often and do it well will get you where you want to go. Time is our biggest and most precious commodity. And you only have a finite amount of it. And how you use it ends up determining all of your life. Everything. I mean, time is everything. We like to play games with our friends when we get together, card games and stuff. And like Cards Against Humanity, Spades, whatever. We
also learned in Nashville that I am the champion of 90s trivia.
You can't beat Brit. There's nobody.
Don't come at me, bro.
Brit's unbelievable trivia. But even like geographic stuff and all that, she's like, Brit has like all those like random skills where you don't know it, and then you see her out there. I remember when
I could host National Geographic.
When we first got together, I didn't know that Brit could play basketball. And so she's like, hey, let's play horse together. And then she just like dogged me. And I was like, what is going on right now in my life? She didn't tell me she's sort of like all-star basketball player and stuff. I didn't know these things. So Brit's got a lot of talent. But
card games.
Playing card games.
Did I distract you?
You did. This is Brit asking me questions every 50 minutes. So we play. It is absolutely true.
If you want to get distracted, just have a partner.
All right, so this card game that we're playing together, on this rooftop, you got to imagine, so on this rooftop, playing this card game, and the question is, if you could know all the knowledge about one topic, what would it be? So everybody's, people answer and doing different stuff, and it comes around to me. The topic that I want to know, what's that topic that you would know? Before I say it, think about this for yourself for a second. What is that topic that you would like to have all of the knowledge on? For me, the answer is time. I would like to know and understand everything there is about time, timelines, past lives, all the craziness. I want to understand time, portals, moving. How does it work? How does it work on other planets? How does it work on other parts of? I want to know. I'm curious because I think it's one of the most critical aspects that very few of us really understand very much about. We live by its rules to some degree, but we don't really get it. Same way like sleeping. Sleeping is one of those things that fascinates me a lot. We spend 1/3 of our lives doing one specific activity that most of us just are absolutely oblivious about.
Sex?
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm just kidding.
More distractions.
But it seems appropriate too, right?
It does.
You got to show how to handle them.
Yeah, you have to be able to be on your toes at all times because there's going to be a multitude of people and things that are there to distract you. And sometimes our partners and our friends can be some of the best distractions, and sometimes we have to let them be. Sometimes it's good for us to get out of our rigid ways and just go into it. But for the times where it's not, where we really need to get things done, we have to hunker down.
Put a sock on the door. Let people know it's time to focus.
You are a mess today. I love it.
Listen, I've just missed being on the podcast and having these fun conversations with you. You know, the conversation that we have while on the podcast are not, I wouldn't say different because we talk like this all the time, but the way that we deliver it and the way that we communicate is just different, and it's fun and I enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it.
So this is me being playful when we're supposed to be focused.
It's fine too. Moderation, right? Moderation. My mom always had the saying that moderation in everything except moderation. I love it.
I love it. So really today's topic was all about being focused, figuring out what it is that you want, how you want to feel, and then making sure that you prioritize that so that you're present in the moment and you're not distracted by all the little dings and red whistles and this and that and phone calls and, hey, can you help me do this? Because it's never ending.
Ever. It's going to be a consistent bombardment. And if you don't have the right system set up, or if you want to know more about our systems, come join us. Being in the club this month is going to really allow you to set aside a little bit of effort and energy to work on what your time management may look like. If you find that you're always distracted, or you're prioritizing the wrong things, or you're a perfectionist or a procrastinator, this is your month to get it handled. So get that fixed. Because I want to see what you can really start to grow out as the summer and the fall gets here. Because you're going to start seeing how those systems work later on in the year. And it's going to be the difference as to whether the fall brings you all the harvest that you wanted, or if you just end up with a bunch more weeds. It'll be up to you. And so make sure that this month specifically, this excellent early springtime season, you're focused on the things that matter. You're doing the things that are important to you in your life.
So prioritize your time. Come join us in the club by going to theelevatedlifeclub.com. Just in case you didn't know, every single month we do a 90-minute live training where we talk about different topics from success to spirituality. And this month is all about time management. You'll also access over 50 different masterclasses, including yoga and meditation. So if you've been wanting to kickstart your spiritual practice, this is the place to be. Think of it like Netflix for the soul, essentially. And make sure that you focus on what is most important for you this year. So at the end of the year, we can look back and celebrate all the success, even the challenges that it took to get there. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life Podcast. Want more? Join us at theelevatedlifeclub.com for mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a new masterclass, meditation, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
Come join the 7 or Above Club.